Hey, for Saturday, June 13th, 2020, this is the Pro and the Con Show, and I'm your host, Michael James Ott, and always doing the show, the Pro and Con Show, so it's up to us. We have to spend extra time, extra effort to figure out the truth, and the truth, because the issues that face us are complex, even simple issues, like, is it great to have a bowl of ice cream? Well, there's pros and cons to having a bowl of ice cream. Okay, lots of calories, lots of fat, stuff like that. The positive is, man, it tastes wonderful. One of my favorite things. Probably for most of you out there, one of your favorite things too. But there you go. You just can't eat ice cream all the time because there's pros and cons, good and bad, for and against, right? And unfortunately, there's the information streams that are out there. They are targeting you because they can, because the technology is there. They can see what you kind of want to watch and read, and they go out and selectively try to influence you and push your emotional buttons to try to control you and keep those emotions boiling, so that hopefully they hope that you won't look at the other side of the arguments, and you'll be basically tethered to the team, if you will. And it all comes from, having two parties and then the simple labels like conservative versus liberal and so on, and just it makes it easy to push the hate button. The reality is all of us are way more complex than that. And and the reality is that there's almost 340 million of us in this country. Laws govern us all, so we've got to be open. We have to listen to what the other folks have to say. Well, today's show is entitled Success, and the reason why I bring that up is, let me say at the beginning that all of us, our species has had the wrong definition of success for many years. Almost dropped my iPad. So we've defined success in terms of accumulation of wealth, influence, and power for centuries. And if you look at, and it occurred to me because, you talk about, all the difficult things that we have and to try to solve, and you try to build some kind of structure of laws around, preventing people from abusing each other too much. Okay, so individual freedom versus the individual freedoms of others, right? And so where does this border meet? And we end up with these laws that that if you think about it step by step, it's because we have the wrong definition of success. And so, for example, you can't kill somebody. Well, why would you kill somebody? Well, because you don't like them, because they're not doing what you want them to do. But often it's because you aspire to have something they have. Maybe you're trying to get money from them, or you're trying to get their wealth, or some other physical possession that a fancy car, whatever it is. There are so many things that we do because we are driven to acquire wealth, influence, and power. And the reality is that, there's some positives to it. It kind of pushes our economic agenda forward, if you will, capitalism. But the negative is that we don't look out for the other person, and we end up doing really horrific things, and seem to struggle trying to avoid doing those horrific things. And so I was thinking about, all the different, don't steal, don't defraud, don't burgle, don't, maim, torture, and so on. And step by step, if you ask yourself, well, why do we do that? Why do we do this? Why do we do that? And in engineering, we have this stepwise process for trying to get to the root cause. We call it 5 whys. So why did this happen? Well, this. Well, why did that happen? This. Why did that happen? This. And if you think about it, I'm not going to take the time during this video But if you think through, the things that we struggle with, like right now, there's a big struggle over racism, and the fact that there's been a portion of the population that has been effectively under the thumb of other portions of the population for extended periods of time. And well, why? Why? And at the end of the analysis, you're going to keep coming up with, we have the wrong definition of success. We are driven. Why did we do that? Why did some number of people, for example, in the case of racism and the inequitable treatment of other people, why did we do that? Well, in the end, if you keep analyzing it, you're eventually going to come down to our definition of success is the personal accumulation of wealth, influence, and power. And so we can overstep those bounds and try to take those from other people. And that's what we've done against people of color. So some segment of society has done this against another segment of society to try to take or acquire or maintain or grow wealth, influence, and power. Right? Right? Yeah, that's right. It's right. And so we need a new definition of success, and I'm proposing that new definition of success is service. Service to the planet and to the people on it. Service. So instead of measuring things in terms of, fancy cars and big houses and big bank accounts, we measure success in terms of how many lives saved, or how many lives positively impacted, how much suffering has been assuaged by you as an individual. And the example that I like to give is Mr. Jimmy Carter. So Mr. Carter was one of the presidents of the United States, and most people, again, if you look at the history and you look at the list of presidents and how effective they were in office and how strong of a leader and so on, Mr. Carter is not going to come out anywhere near the top of that list on just about anybody's list. Okay, he's middling at best and maybe in the bottom third in some people's lists, right? So not god-awful horrible as president, but not great. And certainly not great, certainly not in the top third or 20 or 25%. But if you look at the man and what he has done, especially after he's left the office of president, he's done nothing but devote his life to the giving of service to humanity and to the planet. And so he's done all kinds of peace negotiations and health task force things where he's participated in or gone and actually promoted or helped get financing, raise funds and so on for various things to eliminate parasites and things that plague lots of people around the world, and then the list just goes on and on and on. And he's a Sunday school teacher at his church, and I'm sure he's probably worked on hundreds, but I'm sure it's at least dozens and dozens of Habitat for Humanity houses, which I've worked on some of those myself. And again, a program set up to help people better their situation, and in the case of Habitat for Humanity is to provide high quality housing at a very affordable price. Service to the planet and to the people on it. And I have to say, me personally, when I walk down the street and I see somebody drive by in a fancy car, I could care less. I might know, oh, there goes a fancy car, don't care. Someone is sitting there and talking to me, and they're talking about how they've really impacted, like Mr. Carter. Oh my God, I would love to meet Jimmy Carter. And just spend time talking to him, because I just think he's unbelievable. And to even be honored to spend some moments in his presence would be a great honor for me, because I see him as the very pinnacle of success, because he's devoted so much of his life to serving the planet and the people on it. And I hope that someday people will look at me, maybe look at these videos and say, this is some things, maybe some small way that he was trying to serve and better the planet and the people on it. And I implore you, and one last thing about success. The real miracle about the redefining success. You don't need the signature of Mr. Trump. You don't need a law or a bill passed by either House of Congress. You don't need your parents' permission. You don't need the permission of your neighbors or your friends or even your spouse. You can just say, starting today, for the rest of my life, I'm going to redefine success for myself and how I perceive other people, how I perceive success in other people. And I'm going to focus and be successful at serving the planet and the people on it. And when I look at other people, I'm going to judge them and talk to them about whether they're being successful in terms of their service to the planet and the people on it. You can do it. Every single person in this country, every single person on the planet, if they wanted to, they could start today. Redefine success in your life in terms of service to the planet and the people on it. And you will see so many negative things that happen in our lives will be reversed completely. And our societies, our communities, our families, everyone will benefit immensely. Redefine success. Do it today. For the Pro and Con Show, I'm your host, Michael James Ott. Until the next show, bye for now.